Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So I was quite honestly debating whether to make this market update at all because the data was so bad, but then again, we're keeping it real on this channel. We're not running away from our problems. We're facing things head on. Whether you agree or disagree, this is what we do on this channel. We face things as they are. So let's talk about the market and how it has changed week over week, what's going on with the volumes, what's happening with diesel prices, and then we're going to go into specifics for dry vans, reefers, and flatbeds. Ready? Let's go. So as always, we start with the net change in carrier populations. How many carriers net increased or decreased in the trucking market? So as of last week, we lost an additional 92 carriers net. Now, someone asked me to show what the incoming carriers numbers look like because the thought process is new carriers don't really count because they have a hard time booking loads. Unfortunately, I did not see that data in Sonar. However, I do have another chart I want to show you guys. The red is the volume, the blue is the capacity. You can see that capacity increased from 2020 until 2022 while the volume dropped. And you can see now that there are a ton of trucks. And yes, capacity is leaving week by week, but not fast enough. Look at that volume. If you want to know what's wrong with the market, this is the only chart you need to see. All right, now volumes versus rejections. The blue line is 2023. The white line is 2024. And what you can see from the beginning of the year, volumes have been trending higher than in 2023, but now they're not following the pattern that we saw last year. Actually, volumes started going down now. But what about rejections? All right, same concept. The blue line is 2023, the white line is 2024 so far, and you can see that the rejection levels, they peaked and then they just crashed down. Currently, rejections are at an average of 4.49%. Now, I know some of you like to see the contract versus spot market. What do carriers get on both sides? And the blue line, the dark blue line, shows us this year. What we want to see is for this line to be closer to the top because that means the distance or the margin between what spot and contract carriers get is smaller. And the reason we want that is because that's what usually entices those rejections and pushes more volume to the spot market. But what we have been seeing is the gap has been increasing. And currently, contract carriers are getting on average 60 cents per mile more than those spot carriers. Finally, last but not least, we have to talk about diesel prices. And diesel prices have been going down steadily, as you can see. Currently, diesel prices on average are $3.81 per gallon. Something I will let you know is that I recently read that they are predicting now that diesel prices will start going up as consumption increases, but that's a video for another time. Now let's talk about specifics, starting with dry vans on the spot market. This data is all from FTR Intel. So week over week, we saw that dry van rates actually increased by 2 cents per mile, and year over year, dry van rates have increased 0.2%. But over the past 5 years, they are down over 11%. Now, volumes week over week for dry vans actually decreased 2.2% on the spot market, and year over year, they decreased 11%. Over the past 5 years, down 31%. Now, we're again going to be looking at these two maps to figure out where more contract loads end up being pushed to the spot market, increasing spot market volume. These maps are by Sonar, and I have compiled an easy to read table. So the first thing we want to do is we want to see what the top 5 volume markets are for dry vans, just to have an idea of where the volume is coming out for dry vans in the general market, not necessarily the spot market. Those are Atlanta, Georgia, Ontario, California, Detroit, Michigan, Dallas, Texas, and Los Angeles, California. Now, where are contract carriers rejecting freight? Well, Cedar Rapids, Iowa, rejection in the brackets. Then we have Las Vegas, Nevada, which is new, Green Bay, Wisconsin, Des Moines, Iowa, and Dubuque, Iowa. Now, the question is, where does more volume from the contract market, because there's a lot of volume in that state and higher rejections, get pushed to the spot market? And the top 5 here are Houston, Texas, Ontario, California, Los Angeles, California, Atlanta, Georgia, and Green Bay, Wisconsin. Now, a lot of you guys have said Atlanta, Georgia is pretty horrific for dry vans. I agree. This just shows you where the more volume comes from the contract side. Usually, in theory, that should result in higher rates, but that also depends on what is the capacity in that particular area. I'm guessing that in Atlanta, Georgia, there's definitely overcapacity of dry vans. All right, now let's do the same thing, but for reefers. Reefers week over week saw a 4-cent increase in the rate per mile on the spot market. However, year over year, it's down 1%. Over the past 5 years, reefer rates are down 9%. Now, volumes week over week for reefers went up 5.1%, so more volume than last week. But year over year, down 15%, and over the past 5 years, down 30%. Now, using the same sonar map for reefers to figure out where more contract loads are ending up on the spot market, let's take a look. So the top 5 markets for reefers in terms of volume in the general market are Joplin, Missouri, Allentown, Pennsylvania, Lakeland, Florida, Joliet, Illinois, and Atlanta, Georgia. It doesn't mean that these are the best places to be. It just means that more volume comes out. It's not going to tell you the load to truck ratio there, because if there's overcapacity in any of these places, it's not going to be a good market. Now, in terms of the rejections, the top 5 rejections are Bismarck, North Dakota, where the volume is almost zero, Fargo, North Dakota, Quincy, Illinois, Bloomington, Illinois, and Dubuque, Iowa. Now, the places where there is more contract freight ending up on the spot market, again, because the volumes are high enough and the rejections are high enough, are Joliet, Illinois, Ontario, California, Chicago, Illinois, Fresno, California, and Fort Worth, Texas. Finally, last but not least, are poor flatbeds that just can't seem to catch a break. So week over week, the flatbed rate per mile has decreased by 2 cents per mile. Year over year, the flatbed rates are down 1%. Over 5 years, flatbed rates are down 7%. Week over week, the volume for flatbeds on the spot market is down by almost 13%, although year over year, it is up 17%. However, over the past 5 years, volumes are down 30% for flatbeds. All right, now let's talk about some load to truck ratios for flatbed, but we'll start with volumes using truck stop data. The darker a state is, the more loads come out of that area. And again, nothing changes. I have been doing this for a while now, showing these maps. Nothing changes. It's always the South, the Midwest, and some of the East Coast, as well as California, that have the highest load volumes. Now we're going to talk about Oregon and Washington in just a second, but let's take a look at where flatbeds actually hang out, where there is more capacity. Again, the darker it is, the more capacity in that area. And as usual, Texas, Florida are the places where there are the most flatbeds, and then the Midwest and some of the East Coast, as well as California, and it looks like Arizona now. Now we have to put the two together to figure out the load to truck ratios. Where are there more loads than there are trucks, therefore more negotiating power? So as always, anything red is overcapacity. There is less than a load per truck there. Anything beige like California, Nevada, some of these states right here, this is about a load per truck. Yellow, like Washington, Oregon, and I believe it's Louisiana. Yeah, that's Louisiana. I can't see very well from here. Those are places with 2 loads per truck, but this is misleading, and I'll explain in a second. Anything green, like Mississippi and Alabama, is over 3 loads per truck. Now, in terms of Louisiana, yeah, I can agree there are probably around 2 loads per truck there. I can agree with pretty much all data here, but Washington and Oregon. Washington and Oregon are one of those places where brokers get 1 load from a shipper, and 20 brokers get that load and then post it 100 different times. So in reality, there are not more loads there. There is just 1 load that's posted 250 times that ends up being covered. I do not recommend for anyone to go to Oregon or Washington, because what's going to end up happening is either you're going to see that there are really not as much loads and there's nothing to choose from, or the loads that are available usually require a 24-hour appointment in advance. So if you're looking to book a load from Oregon today, very often you won't be able to pick it up until the next morning, and the rates are pretty horrific there. So a little bit misleading. So I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I have these episodes where I start feeling super sorry for myself. Poor me, boo-hoo, life is hard. Why me? Why am I in this situation? I don't deserve this. Basically, it's full-blown victim mentality, victimized by the big bad trucking industry. And then I remember that, you know what? I have control over this. I can either stay in this industry or I can get out of this industry. But what I cannot do, because it does no good, is feel sorry for myself. So that's how I go about it during these episodes. Now, the question is, why is everything turning to crap? I mean, I am looking at the load board here. It's open, and honestly, I'd rather not even look at it. It has been the bane of my existence since the beginning, well, since 2 weeks ago, probably. But anyway, what is going on? Some people are saying that this is election year, and during election year, it's always turbulence, and there's a lot of uncertainty. And I tend to agree with that. Other people have been saying recently that we are on the brink of a pretty massive recession, and this has been evidenced by high unemployment numbers. Basically, it's a ton of stuff coming from all sorts of directions, and all of them have an effect on the trucking industry, either in a big way or a small way, and we can't really pinpoint exactly what is going wrong. My opinion is that everything together creates the situation that we see right now. Now, hopefully some stability is going to be on the horizon, and it's just a waiting game right now. And I know that some of you hate when I say you have to just be patient, just wait it out. I know it sounds annoying, but again, like I said before, what I do is I come to the realization every time that we all have a choice. I have a choice. I can either stay in it and try to work through what is actually happening, or I can leave and leave this behind and live a much more peaceful life. I'm deciding to stay despite the fact that that load board is starting to give me a migraine. But it is what it is, right? What I'm not going to do for long is feel sorry for myself. It just doesn't help. So yeah, guys, sorry for the fact that I'm not smiling as much today, but it has been a challenge lately, and you guys know that. I mean, you are in the same industry that I'm in. But anyway, guys, I hope that this week ends on a good note for you and that you have a fantastic weekend. So stay safe, stay healthy, and keep learning. And I'll see you in the next video.